Um, for most of you who knows me, I normally talk about any and everything, but I have decided to embark on this Pacific journey. I've made some great decisions, not so great decisions, but you will only know in hindsight. I think that's the English term. I have to do this in English because my children, I also raised English, so their Afrikaans is not that great. So they whatever I'm saying on social media or here, my children is English. And but I grew up in a very, very, very Afrikaans culture, and sort of the question I want to put forward today, and you can decide what you want to take from this, because I'm on my YouTube channel. Will post this video, the full one, just so if you were interested in the longer version of this diary entry, then you can listen to it. So the question I have that I think is important at this, well, some people would say that this ought to have been important in your life 50 years ago. I'm like, well, maybe, but seemingly I had other like life challenges and fun and sadness and happiness and goodness, and bad, and all of it. But today I have a question, which is actually really important for me to make some decisions going forward. Because for me to make a decision, I need to look at the good or the bad decisions that I've made in the past. So what was my past decision, and with the benefit of today and being alive today, what decisions should I be making, or choices I should be making today? And for people that are a bit confused about where we are, this is 2024, and we're in April. So no, I am not 20. No, there's some level of filtering going on here, because look, no makeup. But I'm faced with this decision today that asks me if I am rich or poor. Rich or poor. I don't know if my English pronunciation is coming through correctly. I am going to rely on my children and their very good English to tell me whether this English is meeting their requirements. If my English pronunciation here is correct. Because in April 2024, I want to answer this question, and I find it not easy to answer. Whether I am rich or if I'm poor. What will someone, there's a particular person that would tell me, you are really poor because you do not have your money in a bank. Okay, I get it. If you want a bank statement to determine whether I'm rich or poor, fine. Then to your standards or your definitions, I'm poor, super poor, like zero. And the relatively educated would tell me that, well, if you don't have like cash in the bank, but you have invested your money somewhere else, it doesn't really matter whether you are rich or poor. What is that sort of definition that goes with am I rich or am I poor? Now, if for most people who knows me, if you're this far in my video, then it's between you and God. Then you yourself and you. But how do you know as a person, as an individual, as me, myself, and me, whether I'm rich or poor? How do I know if my children are rich or poor? How do I know that my family could be rich or poor? What is, like, if you speak to your investment guy, your financial advisor, whoever advises you on financials, or who's given you advice in the last decade, for argument's sake, on advice, on where to invest, do they who is going to put that sign here or hang a sign around my neck? Who will determine if I have a rich life or a poor life? Who makes that decision? To me, myself and me, I feel that I am rich. To me, I feel rich. Me, myself and me. But I measure that on my children and where they are. I measure that to my relationship. I get sad because the sadness is that I might have this discussion with that one person, and in his mind, I am poor. I'm not poor. I don't see myself as poor. I see myself as very rich. I have a rich life. I have traveled the world. I have met some of the greatest people in history. My life is rich. My soul is rich. Here in South Africa, it's really important for, I don't know, who's who in what zoo, to put us into boxes that says, you are rich, you are poor, you are middle class, you are upper middle class, you like the poorest of the poor, you're unemployed, you don't have a job. 30 years ago, we were given maps of this world map, the map of the world. You would reach at certain points, certain destinations, no matter how slow you travel. If you stay on the journey, you would reach a destination. I grew up as children. I come from a household where we were 5 kids. And I spent most of my childhood days with my grandfather and grandmother. My grandmother got to 93 and she surrendered to COVID. Who determines? Who is going to determine how rich or poor I am? Because if I look at my grandmother's life, she had a rich life. She was rich. Who do you or we, or us as a society, allow to determine our value? Is your value determined by whether she has a husband, whether she has a job, whether she at this age has any grandchildren, whether She should have gained a lot of weight by now. And she should have been dead a few times. And she must be crazy. I mean, let's just try to solve for craziness too. If you knew 30 years ago that that hard printed map in its perfect colors would be irrelevant in 2024, would you still sign up to follow that journey on the map? Or do you, like my gran, stay in the community where you felt safe, where you could see your grandchildren, where you could spend the time that you have left with less worry and less pain? And why don't we rely then, 30 years after we've given our lives to technology, and this technology, why aren't we seeing the return of our investment of time today? For those old enough, remember when you had to remember a landline phone number and your mother used you as a telephone book? She couldn't remember the numbers of the neighbors, but she understood the value of teaching me the telephone numbers of everybody on her telephone list. I made a difference then because I was useful in the sense of, if my gran needed a phone number, just find me. If somebody took a horse to the station and the train was running late and you only had one telephone, you better remember that number. Who determines how rich or poor I am? Because I do remember, unfortunately, all of it. I wasn't trying to forget. And I don't want to forget. But it saddens me to know that this world and where we live today, and the people that you meet, is conditioned to forget. And you think that your brain should protect you, and your brain should protect you in forgetting the good and the bad, or moments or snippets. And that the older you get, the less you remember. So only in April 2024 can speak with hindsight, because I'm debating decisions I make today for the future. Where were you in 1999? What did you do in 1999? Does anybody actually care? That the only way that you could reach me, in Afrikaans I want to say postduif. So you could use a I don't even know what they call it. You could write a letter and put it in a mailbox. And nobody knew really how to use the internet. The internet was, you really needed to use your brain power to use the internet. Today it's so simple. Today we on ChatGPT, we putting information into our phones. You don't need to write anything down. You don't need to remember anything. You're simply trying on a daily basis to forget. And what you're trying to remember is to show up, in some cases, for your day job. Others, for parenthood, if you're becoming a new parent, or if you have children or don't want children. Will your children blame you for the good or the bad decisions that you've made that affected their lives forever? And when they look at 2020, 2030, where are you? What decisions did you make? Are you rich or are you poor? I could do this discussion for days, but it saddens me today that the very same people that try to convince you that you are poor have not risked anything. In fact, risked nothing. And so the quote I have today is from a guy, ex-US President Theodore Roosevelt, that talks about the man in the arena. And his words today is true as it was yesterday. Are you rich or are you poor? Did you risk anything? Choose. You have to make these choices. Some choices I have to make is go and colour my hair. Not grey yet. My mother would say, "Well done to you. You got to you got my genes, because you are not grey like your sisters or your cousins or other people I know." I will put my diary entry for the Crazy White Lady in South Africa on YouTube, and use it or lose it. But if you ask me in 1999, I'd give you the same answer in 2024.